Right, hello. There's always on the internet vis-a-vis archery. There's always discussions vis-a-vis the longbow and medieval armour, and whether the longbow could have penetrated it. And the consensus is that like the breastplate, full on the breastplate, right up front. No, a good piece of armour. Now armour, comes in. I'm going to stick my two pennith into this, right? Okay, from my experience. And this goes back to the early 1990s, probably 91, 92. Might be earlier, might be 90. I was doing living history at the time, and I was a bowman, and we were living this living history thing, doing the 14th century. I was sort of like kitted out in full 14th century thing. The longbow I did have actually was an ash bow. It was only £70, and I was considered sort of like the weed of the thing, because people had up to £100 yew longbows, and they were all thing. We were stuck out in the countryside in the middle of nowhere, not in the Baltic, on a island sort of in the Baltic Ocean, sea, Baltic Sea. It's not an ocean, it's only a sea. And so we're out the way, and we were supposed to get on and live for 8 weeks as a sort of small military unit, a medieval thing, with the whole thing. We had a range for shooting longbows, and down at the end of the range, the people who had organised this had hung up a set of armour. Now, this was by no means decent armour. This was probably pretty poor armour, as armour goes. It was Armageddon. No, Armageddon, out of here. No, it was just a piece of cheap, sort of like replica armour. It wasn't fancy or anything like that. But the idea was that they wanted to see if our longbows could pierce this armour. And we were making our own bodkins. We made a forge. We were making our own bodkins, our own arrowheads, and we were making our own arrows. There's quite a few stories I could tell about this 8-week period. It got quite interesting. But one of the things I can say is that the guy who was sort of like, who came on, who joined up as the chef or the cook, couldn't cook to save his breakfast. He couldn't cook anything. And he kept saying, I don't have the equipment to get any food ready. Because basically he was given 14th century cooking utensils and he didn't know where to start. So needless to say, after about 4 or 5 days, we were getting very, very, very hungry. So we were getting very, very, very hungry because we weren't getting any food. Now, we've been shooting down the range at this armour for the past 3 or 4 days. Before then, we were about 4 or 5 days into this whole event, and the arrows were just shattering or bouncing off them. There was dent in it quite nicely, but no penetration or anything like that. Anyway, we got to this point where I was getting very, very hangry, very, very hangry, because I hadn't eaten for days. And it was getting to the point where I was beginning to lose my rag. Once again, when lunchtime didn't occur, yes, and I was getting really, really, really hungry, I was going to either kill the cook or take my ear out somewhere else. So I went down the range, and I let an arrow go at the the knight in armour that was down at the end of the range, and I really went for it. I just fucking and there was my arrow straight through the breastplate. I mean, we're not talking about a really, really high-end breastplate here. We're talking about a cheap piece of mock armour, but it had loads of dents in it and no thing. But there was my arrow sticking out the breastplate. So I wandered down there, like, you know, to have a look, and sure enough, it's gone right through, and it's gone through right to the back of the armour. It's actually got a mark on the back of the armour as well, so it's gone right through and to the other side. So I run and get everybody, say, look, you can do it, and they're going, how did you do that? How did you do that? You cheated. So everybody goes and gets their bows and arrows, and they start shooting this bloody armour again, and everything bounces off again. So the murderous intent might make all the difference when it came to piercing armour. I don't know. This is just my experience of one time of actually going through armour. Nobody in the next 8 weeks got another arrow through there. I couldn't get another arrow through there. I don't know if it was just a weak spot where I hit, it was just a fluke, but I really gave it everything I could, and my little £70 bow put it through. And so everybody was all a bit sort of, "Oh, did you really do that? Did you really?" I said, "Yes, I really did that." Yeah. Anyway, I also did some other things with my bow, which I'll tell you another story another day regarding that, because I think that is something quite funny. But yeah, we managed to pierce our... So murderous intent. I wonder if it makes a lot of difference. Take care.